It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and you're watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, Mark, you can find us. And you can also listen to us on 790 The Score in Providence, Rhode Island. Hey, you listen on the radio, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Or, hey, you can stream it too on thescore790.com. All our shows are up for you to listen to. Got a good one this week in Weekly Rewind. Going to go back to Germany. Look at that Indianapolis game. And
do we really have to go back to Germany?
I keep saying rock bottom, and every week we find the new bottom. So
a new one.
A new one.
Yeah.
So stick around for that. And, of course, Catone's comments. You never want to miss that. We're going to hear from one of you on the Nation and Heated Hotline. And in Pat's Nation, we're going to talk state of the Patriots. We're going to give our State of the Union, State of the Patriots address today. You definitely don't want to miss that. And, of course, try to win you some money in Sunday Spread. Hey, make sure you stick around for that because we've been making a lot of money doing this stuff.
We have been. We've been hot. We've been hot. We have
been hot. But who's not hot are the New England Patriots. And we have to discuss that, and we're going to do it a weekly rewind. Joe, let's have it. Going back through the week, about a weekly rewind. So their trip to Germany yields yet another loss, 10-6. They dropped to the Indianapolis Colts. And Mark, a lot of people thought for some reason, I don't know if they thought because they were going to be in Germany, or I don't really know that Mr. Kraft, this was a very important game to him for some strange reason that I don't know. Well, I know why, the dollars and cents. But
of course,
they go ahead and they drop that game anyway, even though Kraft addressed the team first when he only addresses the team a couple times a year, if that. And told them how important it was to him. And, they still went out and lost 10-6. So, Mark, looking at and I know a lot of this is going to sound like broken record, right? But looking back at the offense this particular day, God, where do you begin, right?
My God. Well, so, Chris, I guess we have to start with Mac Jones. What else are we going to do? I mean, that's where everybody
Mark's rubbing it. So Mark's rubbing his forehead and his head and his face like he's disgusted. Go ahead.
I mean, where else are you going to start? We're going to have to start with Mac Jones, right? I mean, he's been like the punching bag all week. So you're going to start with him, right? So, Chris,
let me just give you his numbers then.
Yeah,
you're going to start with him. He was 15 of 20, 170 yards. They only let him throw 20 times, and he still effed up the game. 15 of 20, 170 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times. Then he had Bailey Zappi, 3 of 7 for 25 yards with a pick. Go ahead.
So, Chris, I am going to give them credit for one thing. They must have listened to our show the last 2 weeks because all I've been saying is run the football 35, 40 times between Elliott and Stevens. Well, guess what, Chris? They actually attempted to do that. How many times did they run the ball this week? Just for 30, our people.
They ran a 36 for 167. Great day running the ball.
So I've been saying for weeks, 35 to 40 times a game, and you got a shot. And they had a shot. And if you do that, Chris, it's going to open up play action, and it's going to limit the number of mistakes that Mac Jones can make, although he still made them. Right? So, I mean, the opening drive, Chris, let's talk about the opening drive. So the opening drive, they get some momentum. They go right down the field. They get into the red zone. Okay. It was second down. This one was on O'Brien. It was a perfect situation for play action. He doesn't run play action, right? He runs it, but no gain. Now they're at like 3rd and 7.
Yeah.
But on that third down play, Chris, I believe that was when he tries that crazy flip, wasn't it, to Ramondre Stevens? No, he got sacked. I'm sorry, he gets sacked on the opening possession. But, Chris, he had Douglas open over the middle, in the middle of the field, and he also had Hunter Henry streaking into the seam of the end zone. He doesn't look at either one of them.
I know.
Like, what was he looking at, Chris, on that play? That's the opening drive of the game.
Mark, he's broken. This is a broken football player.
He's like Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
Can't put him back together either.
It's sad. It's actually sad. You know what? I have a theme of sadness today.
Oh my God! What theme of sadness? Listen, it's going to be Thanksgiving this week, and you got a theme of sadness? Really?
Well, I mean, more so than I felt bad for the kid.
The
game, man. But no, I mean, listen, he screwed the pooch. He was terrible in this game.
Chris,
you threw about 20 times, and you still in how many? So I know you only missed 5, but.
Listen, we could go through the whole game, but the only other possession I think I wanted to start at the beginning and close at the end with, okay, so everybody has diagnosed the interception at the end.
Yeah.
So it was actually, Chris, an excellent play call and scheme by Bill O'Brien. I believe he had trips to the right, including one of them was running back. He has Hunter Henry in the slot as a tight end. And I believe he had another wide receiver to the right of Henry. He runs an underneath route with one of the trips to the left to freeze the first layer of the defense. He runs the outside receiver on a corner post. The safety over the top freezes between the corner post and what's in front of him. Hunter Henry runs this. Gesicki comes off the line, Chris. He's just behind everybody. There's nobody there. And how do you throw that pass? I don't know what he did. Did he short arm it? Like, what did he do on that pick? Because
he did what he's been doing all season long. Pressure that isn't really there. And he's throwing flat-footed or backward or falling back. Anytime you see a throw that's short, it's because he's falling back or throwing flat-footed. I mean, that's it. Like, that's the bottom line. He had him wide open for the win. That's for the win, man. To take the lead. I mean, it was such a pitiful day. It was a tough game to watch. I mean, those people over there all brewed up pretty good in Germany. So they don't. I don't even think they know what the hell was going on during that game. Those people.
And the offensive line, Chris. 5 sacks in the first half.
Yeah.
And that didn't help Jones. That didn't help him. No, right?
They needed to run the ball like 45 times. I mean, they only ran 68 plays. And so 36 of them were runs.
And Chris, the offensive line obviously doesn't play well, 5 sacks in the first half. But I got to call out Cole Strange, Chris. He got slapped around like a rag doll by 99. I think it's 99's Buckner, right?
Yeah. Buckner didn't play the whole game either.
He didn't, but every time he was in the game, Chris, Cole Strange was like a rag doll. It was disgusting. He's a first-round draft pick, Chris.
He's not. But he is, but he's not.
He's not, but he is, right? He's not, but he is, right? So, Chris, he got pushed all over the field. I would have to venture to say that was the worst game I've probably seen. And he's had some bad games, Chris. But I think that's the worst game I've probably seen Cole Strange have his whole career. He just got pushed all over the field.
He's either hurt or he plays like crap. So that goes back to what we talked about with that trade. I'm sorry, we're trading the pick. We talked about that last week. You could have had the corner you could have the corner from Kansas City right now.
Yep, McDuffie, the kid from Washington.
McDuffie, you got Cole Strange, bust, right? Who are the other guys?
So when they trade down and ultimately get 3 picks for the trading down, it's Cole Strange,
Mapu,
Jack Jones, and Jack Jones. How's Jack Jones doing?
Yeah, he's doing good. He's bagging groceries right now. He's somebody told me he should have pled guilty. Well, we'll see how his probation goes.
We're not talking about the legal ramifications.
He's getting permission to leave Massachusetts now.
He went to Vegas.
Yeah, good for him.
Went to Vegas,
so did they pick him up? Is that what happened?
Vegas picked him up. Yeah, so
he'll be a Pro Bowler now. So Mark, Cole Strange was bad. Trent Brown's pretty much that's it. He's he's pretty much on the shelf now. I don't see him wanting to come out and play anymore. And you're right. They should have ran the ball more. And Mark, what I don't understand is why they went away from it. I mean, most of that was in the first half. They were consistently running the ball. It's not like they were down 2 scores or anything. I mean, you could have continued to run the ball, and they just didn't do it for some reason.
There was that one series, Chris, where they did pound the ball right down their throat, and I think, if I remember correctly, Chris, that's the drive that ends up with the interception.
Yeah.
Right. But they went right down the field on that drive, running the ball.
Yeah.
They should have made nothing
about right. To say nothing about the fact that they could have eaten more clock there.
Yeah.
Before they put the ball in the end zone. Yeah, I'm with you. And defensively, and defensively, look, I'm tired, Mark. I'm sleepy tired of listening all week long to everybody talk about how good the defense was. They were better. I'll tell you, my assessment of them, they were all right. They were okay. It started off bad. They gave up a 14-play, 7-minute. They were 3 for 4 on third down, Indianapolis, and they punched in the end zone. They buckled up a little bit after that. But the first half of this game, I thought they were terrible, Mark. I mean, I thought that the defensive line got no pressure. There were no sacks all day long. They allowed Burt Reynolds out of the pocket all day long to get out, move around.
And listen, I thought he was better than he is.
Yeah.
He's awful. He's absolutely awful.
Jack Jones stinks and should have been cut. Okay.
Well, Jack Jones, Chris, played like 9, 12 plays, and they benched him?
Yeah, because he was horrible. All of them. Mark, there were guys. So before everybody, and I heard people giving grades this week at the pay.
Well, yeah, I heard several people gave B+, A-.
B. To me, if you're going to give a B as a grade, you got to have at least one. You got to have at least more than one quarterback hit. One quarter. You didn't. You're hearing it right, 790 listeners. One quarterback hit. I'm not sad anymore. Now I'm mad. One quarterback hit. No sacks. How the hell are you giving a defense a grade of a B when they didn't even get to the quarterback? Not only that, there were guys running around in the secondary for Indianapolis wide open. If anybody bothers to actually look at the film, all these experts that are giving these grades, who gave them the right to even give a grade, I don't even understand that. But I give the guys that give the grades Fs because there were guys, Mark, running around in the secondary all day. And if they had if Richardson was playing in this game, they would have scored 30 points, in my opinion. They would have scored at least 20 in the first half because there was guys just wide open that Minshew wasn't seeing. He wasn't hitting them. He wasn't even getting the ball out to them.
Yeah. And I saw the same thing, Chris. And even the guys that he did see that were wide open, he was overthrowing them, underthrowing them. I mean, yeah, I think they got a little better, Chris, defensively in the second half. But in the first half, you're right. There were guys running all over the field. They absolutely would have scored with a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Would have scored at least 20 points in the first half, and the game would have been over. Mac Jones throwing that interception at the end of the game would have been mute because you would have got blown out again.
Right. And so you say, okay, well, they were 5 of 13 on third down, so they were better this week. Time of possession, now we finally won that 34-25. But that's, Mark, a lot of those plays on third down, Indianapolis, it was what Indianapolis did wrong. Okay, let's not sugarcoat. Everybody's Tavai. Oh my God, if Tavai is our middle linebacker next year, I'm rooting for somebody. Who else, Mark? Give me another team to root for.
Chris, because once again, he knocked the pass down or he tipped the pass. Did it end up? Okay, but isn't that his job as the middle linebacker to make those types of plays, Chris? He makes one a game. Oh, what your defense is so bad, the middle of your defense, that it makes Tavai look like, wow, he's having a solid game. Really?
He doesn't make his defensive lineman right. He doesn't make the edge right. When I say right, meaning defensive lineman gets into a gap, you gotta fill the opposite side. So you gotta make up for that. When somebody's getting blocked, you gotta fill the other side of it. He doesn't do that enough. every so often, what did you say about the squirrel catching a nut every so often? Whatever the hell that phrase, that archaic phrase you use is. So not good enough. Obviously, 10-6. It was a sleeper, and I think that they're. I don't know. I at this point, I think they checked out. At this point.
Yeah. I listen. The one you want to talk about? Everyone says, they haven't lost the
Bruins.
They haven't lost the locker room yet. Well, they released Jack Jones. And Dietrich Wise, who's a captain and who's supposed to be one of the leaders of the team, says, "Oh, yeah, I was really disappointed with that." What? That's what your captain says?
You're disappointed with it. You ought to be disappointed with the fact that he's a slug. He doesn't want to show up. He's missing meetings. He's showing up late. Doesn't come into the.
But Chris, the fact that one of your captains said that that's not good. That's coming out of one of your captains that he's saying, about Jack Jones. Not good. And just before we go to Bruins quick. No, that's gone. And before we go to Bruins quick, one thing quick. You mentioned it was more about Indianapolis than what New England did.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back a few weeks to the. Listen, I want to just give us kudos, you and I, Chris. Yeah. Going back to the Buffalo game, all these experts said we're turning the corner, and you and I both said on that show after that win, that game was more about Buffalo than us. Buffalo's not a good team. Now, all of a sudden, Buffalo blows, but that game Monday night, Buffalo's a 500 team. Buffalo's fighting for their lives. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. And we said after
you said game, it. You said they were they beat a 500 football team.
And I was right.
And that's who they are. That's who Buffalo is. They're broken too.
We're the real deal New England feel. Hey. And listen, keep tuning into 790 because we're the only people saying these things, Chris. Nobody else is.
Wait, stick around later in the show. You're going to hear some other things that we're the only ones saying too. That's coming up soon. But Mark, talk about the Bruins. And listen, we're early on in the season. We get it. So, we want to temper all the excitement and everything. But once again, here they are. They're on top. They're on top in the entire league. Vegas is right there too. Rangers are nipping at the heels. Well, Mark, I think the difference, the big thing about this is what were we going to see out of them coming into the season? We were thinking about it, concerned about it. Say, well, look, you lost Krejci, you lost Bergeron. What's it going to be like? You lost, all those free agents, Orlov. You lost Bertuzzi. You lost these guys that you said, God, how are we going to replace these guys? Meanwhile, here comes the youth movement. Zach is playing great. Coyle's playing fantastic too. On that third line. I love it on that third line. And here's the kid, Patras. I mean, Mark, these guys, they're stepping up. The other rookie, who was it, Shatterink, or whatever you ever say his name, on defense. Again, these guys are playing great. And especially with Charlie Coyle with that suspension. Wow, he deserved it.
That was well deserved. That was deserved. And Chris, what's funny
is the guy I'm talking about. Yeah.
And Chris, you know what's funny, and we were these people too. We're in this group where everybody said, the Bruins are going to struggle because they haven't drafted well. They got no young guys ready to come up, and they let all these guys go. They didn't re-sign them or people retired, and you and I were in the same group of saying, they really don't have much young talent on this team to come up, but they surprised us, Chris.
Yeah.
They have a hell of a lot more young talent than anybody thought, and certainly more than I thought, and they're playing well, Chris. So
like guys like that Shattenkirk that just joined the team, he's newer on the team now. Is what I mean. And so and
the goaltending's there. The goaltending's there.
Well, that's the other thing too. You're talking about the goaltending. You're talking about Swayman, Ullmark. Ullmark played good the other night. And they're both playing well, but Swayman's, it's starting to look like this is going to be his team, and do you make a deal? Do you say, hey, because they could really use a good forward. I mean, when you look at these lines and you say, okay, Patras, you center him, you center Patras on Pastrnak and Marchand, say, okay. Well, that next line down is going to be Zacha, okay. Van Riemsdyk, who by the way, DeBrusk, and Van Riemsdyk, who's been a positive. I didn't think we get anything out of him.
No,
but you could use a forward. You could use a big time forward to put in that top six, and I think you can get it for Ullmark.
No, I definitely think you can get it for Ullmark. Chris, you can get somebody maybe on an expiring contract that someone's not gonna pay. and he's going to go into free agency. But I definitely think you can get a top 6 forward. And because for Omar, I definitely, because Omar, Chris, is still under contract, I think, for one more year after this. So a team would have control of him. It's not like you're trading somebody that a team is going to lose. Right. So, yeah, I think you got, listen, as they get close, as they get deeper into the season, Chris, and get closer to that trade deadline, when they really see, okay, can we win a cup, even though we should have won it last year? Can this team actually win a cup? You'll probably see them get rid of Omar, like you said, Chris, for the top 6 forward. I think they're going to have to.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, they got a long way to go before a trade deadline. A lot of hockey to play, but
a lot of hockey. We're projecting way out right now.
We'll keep tuning into that. So Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, we come back. Buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
Listen. Everybody knows that I've been all over Bill Belichick the last couple of years, ever since that whole scenario with Brady, and then the last couple of years, and I have been one of the people who have said to Chris, it's time for him to go. You got to make the move, and this is going back. It's not just this year. This is going back now. Well, this week, after what happened on Sunday in Germany, everybody's all over Belichick. This is all his fault. You don't want to spend money, and all of it. Listen, nobody's a bigger critic than Belichick. Go back and listen to me than me. Nobody. However, I am going to have to defend him a little bit with all of these attacks, okay? You want to talk about, the games passed him by in regards to his philosophy on what wins in this league now. You want to talk about him as a general manager and the decisions he's made through the draft, and we're going to get into that next week. Great. But listen, let's start with Brady, okay? Let's start with Brady. In 2017, he makes the decision. He wanted to keep Garoppolo. He gets rid of Garoppolo because Mr. Kraft makes him get rid of Garoppolo. At that point, the man says he wants to play until he's 45 years old. All Bob Kraft had to do was give him the contract. Say, Bill, listen, he wants to be here till he's 45. I'm giving him a 5-year contract. He's going to play till he's 45. Whether you think he's washed up or not, make it work. Bring in what we need to make him be successful. He's staying here until he retires. He's never leaving this building. He doesn't do that. They do whatever they're going to do for the next 2-3 years, piss Brady off because they don't want to show him the value he deserves. He listens to Belichick. Kraft does. But he's the owner. All he had to do was intervene. He allowed it to happen. Not Bill. Bill doesn't own this team. Bill doesn't sign the checks. Mr. Kraft does. He doesn't intervene with Brady. Lets him walk out the door. Are you kidding me? The greatest player to ever play the game, you let walk out the door. Okay, now, you're the lowest spending team in the league. That's on Belichick? Oh, because he doesn't want to spend money and loosen the purse strings? No, that's on the owner. If the owner went to him and said, Bill, listen, you're bringing in the top 3 receivers in free agency. I don't care what we got to spend. Make it work. I want them. They would have been here. Last year, Orlando Brown, the top free agent tackle in free agency. All Bob had to do was say to Bill, I want him, pay him. We need a tackle. We can't go into the season like this, Bill. Nope, he doesn't. So don't say it's on Bill. Bill's not paying out that money. It's Kraft. This is his business model. It's been his business model. That's why he's a billionaire. That's why the franchise is now worth billions of dollars. Why was he so obsessed with that game in Germany? Because Germany had 16, 17 fan clubs of the New England Patriots. It was merchandise. It was marketing. He wanted to go out there and win. He wanted to win because, not because they were 2-7. He wanted to win because it was about money. It was about money, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't about, we're 2-7 and we need to win. No, he went into the locker room because he wanted to sell his brand in Germany and make more money. Okay? So when we talk about Belichick and we want to blame Belichick for all this stuff, Mr. Kraft deserves more blame than Bill. Okay? The way this whole scenario should have worked out, Bill, we shouldn't be talking about Belichick being traded, coaching another team next year. It's over. He's leaving. When Garoppolo left, the contract should have been given to Brady. They all should have gotten in a room and said, listen, he's playing till he's 45. As he got closer to the 45 years old, that age, Bill would have had his wins total. He would have broke Schuler's record because he would have had Brady here for 3 more years. And they could have walked out together. They would have won at least 1 more Super Bowl, maybe 2. He would have been the greatest winningest coach of all time. Brady would have had all of his accolades. And then you could have moved on to a new era as they both faded into the sunset. Joe's a movie guy, just like a great movie. You fade off into the sunset and the music plays and the trumpets go off. But instead, Mr. Kraft screwed that up. Not Bill, Mr. Kraft. So listen, wake up, look at what's really happened here. And this isn't on Bill, okay? This isn't on Bill, Chris. And you know I've been all over him, but this isn't on Bill. This is on Mr. Kraft. And I'm showing him respect. I'm calling him Mr. Kraft. But this is on him, Chris. This isn't on Belichick. I'm sick of hearing all these people this week. Belichick, but listen, it's about time Mr. Kraft gets some egg on his face because he doesn't have any. But he really should. He really, really should, Chris. I don't know what you think, but I just had to get that off my chest because it's amazing to me that these people keep attacking Belichick. Listen, Belichick has his faults. Absolutely he does. But to say that he won't spend money and it's his fault that they're where they're at, if you want to say he can't draft and he drafted a bunch of stiffs the last 5 years, I'll take that. But please don't talk about money. Please don't talk about how Brady was handled because Kraft should have intervened.
He's complicit in the act, period. Means he's equally responsible. Look, I'm with Mark. Okay, I'm not sad anymore. I'm mad. I'm angry. Now I'm angry. You succeeded in pissing me off now, okay? You want to bring this up. Look, I'm with you. I agree with you. Bob Kraft, okay? The buck stops where? Where does the buck stop? Don't give me this. I heard Bedard this week, Greg Bedard, okay? Who I liked. Okay.
Listen, I respect Greg Bedard. He knows his stuff, Chris.
Yeah,
however,
I'm starting to get a little irritated with post-game stuff when I'm listening to him asking a question like, what'd you think of Bill O'Brien's play calling? You hear the crickets? I don't know, he said. What do you mean you don't know? Let us on the show then. We'll tell you what we think of the play calling. And then he wants to come out and say, angrily, he wants to say, Bill didn't want to spend money. He's been the same way for 30. He's been the same way in Cleveland. It's Bill. Bill's cheap. Bill doesn't want to spend. Okay. All right. Then let's have it your way, Greg. Let's have it your way. And listen, I invite you. Come on. You come on at 790 in the post game. We're on 790. Come on and talk to us about it. Tell me if I'm wrong. But here's my thing. If this is the way Bill Belichick has been since the Cleveland days of the 90s, Bob Kraft brought him in the year 2000. And I'm quite sure he knew what Bill Belichick was about. Okay? And he has no problem with it for 20 years. Okay? It's fine. Hey, I give you the reins. I give you the rope. You do what you need to do. Well, you know what? When Bill Belichick decides to do something, that's Bob Kraft deciding to do it too. That's it. That's what an owner is. An owner is the guy sitting there saying, okay, yeah, I don't have to physically sign off on it. My silence means I've signed off on it, and I'm allowing you to do it. That's what I mean when I say he's complicit. So now here we are. Now you want to can him. You want to get rid of him. You're pissed off. You're in the booth, putting your head down, shaking your head. What you should be doing is stepping and looking in the mirror and saying, what should you have done better, Bob? What could you have done better? If you're so concerned about this team and you sat up in those stands in the 70s and you started as a season ticket holder and this is your passion, your love, your everything, okay? Now you're going to tell me that you don't have somebody sitting next to you telling you, hey, man, this roster sucks. This roster's bad, Bob. Then you come out and say, I'm real confident in this roster. I'm really confident in this team this year that I think we can win. Oh, I don't like not making the playoffs. Then do something about it. You got two egos smashing into each other in 2017, which is understandable. They're the two best that ever did it, and they were with each other for 20 years. Okay? It's your job as the owner to sit there, massage that, and fix that. And say, hey, guys, we're okay. Brady, what do you want? Bill, what do you want? Let's go. I'll put the money in. I'll give you players. I'll do what Tampa did. I'll give you players, and we can win as many times. We can win as much as we want to win. And the two of you can walk off together, and nobody's going to worry about who was it. Was it this one? Was it that one? Was it this one? No. You sat back. You allowed it to be. You erred on the side of being cheap because that's how you look. So when you blame Bill about not spending the money, your silence means you're not spending the money either. And I agree with Mark 1,000%. So, yeah, Belichick's passed them by. Can't pick players. He's never been able to pick players. Mark and I chronicled that last week about the fact that he can't pick. And next week when Mark's going to go, we're going to talk about draft picks, previous wide receiver draft picks. Yeah, wait till you see that list. So that's not new. Bob Kraft knows what he is and knew what he was. So before you stand up, Bob, and say, you stink, Bill, you're out. You want to fire him, go ahead and fire him. But at least take responsibility for it. Because you could have fixed it. You could have changed. Mark, it's like one of those movies where you have an alternate, like a time shift where it goes down a line that you're like, what is this about? Where Brady's gone, Belichick's gone. He's not going anywhere. Bill Belichick, and I know we're over, Joe, but this is important. Bill Belichick isn't going anywhere, Mark. He's not going. I don't mean to steal your segment, but he's not going anywhere because Bob Kraft can't afford to have that kind of egg on his face. Right now, he's got a scapegoat for Tom Brady. He's got Bill to blame when he's to blame, meaning Kraft. Yeah. What are you going to do when you get rid of Belichick and he goes somewhere else and he wins a little bit? Or now what? Who are you looking at? Who are the fans looking to now? They're looking at you, Bob. That's who they're looking at. Do yourself a favor, Mr. Kraft. If you're going to can Belichick, do whatever you need to do. Go to Colorado with your jet. Do whatever it is you need to do and bring Deion Sanders into this building, or wait 1 year until his kid's ready to come out. And you bring Deion into this building, you draft this kid, you give him whatever the hell he wants, and that's the guy that can follow Belichick, and he'll win as much as he wants to win. And if you're smart and you want to rectify, you want to like make up for the screw up that you did with this franchise right now, that's how you fix it, Mark.
Yeah. And it's funny, Chris, because if people go back and listen to some of our shows on YouTube, you were the first person who mentioned Deion Sanders. 2 years ago, he was at Jackson State, and you said, we need to get him here. He needs to be our coach. Now, all of a sudden, you hear in the media people are mentioning, I take Deion. Yeah, you'll take Deion now. But 2 years ago, Chris, you were the first person who said that. So I am going to give you credit for that because I never give you credit for anything. But I will give you credit for that. And you're 100% right, Chris, with what you just said. Your whole recap. It's 100. It's right on. And people I don't want to say it. You know why they don't want to say it, Chris? A lot of these other people, because they got access. We don't have access to the team.
Right.
We don't have. This isn't our thing.
Yeah.
We're here as fans. We're doing this show because we're fans who have sat in that stadium, and we care about this team, and we care about all New England sports. But they have access, Chris. They have something we don't have.
Their jobs depend on him.
Yes, their jobs depend on it. Our jobs don't depend on that. So that's the difference,
Fire
Chris.
me.
You're fired. That's the difference, Chris.
Yeah, because they're not going to be able to broadcast from the field anymore, because you can make a phone call and say, this guy's done. This guy's off.
No.
Yeah, you killed John Henry. He's the same.
Yeah, and the media's crushing John Henry. You're right. And the way this organization has spent money the last 20 years, Chris, what's the difference between him and what John Henry tried to do the last 2 or 3 years? John Henry tried to do it in the last 2 or 3 years when Chaim Blooming got crucified for it.
Yeah. So let us know what you think in Heated Hotline. Give us a call, 855-313-PATS. I don't even know if I mentioned that at the beginning of the show.
Hey, you lost your mind tonight. I'm the one who's supposed to get excited during Catone's comments, Joe. He stole my thunder, Joe.
Well, you call us at 855-313-7287 and let us know what you think in Heated Hotline. And good title, Joe. Mac. So much for Mac, because that's one of your guys too, Bob. So, hey, listen. Catone, Mark, you're right, 100%. You got me going on this. I stole his segment. Catone's comments was presented by Corso and Catone, Saturdays 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern on all outlets. And when we come back, I want to hear from one of you in the nation in Heated Hotline right after this.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
What?
That's it.
What is wrong?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Feel. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England Feel. Let's hear from one of you in the nation. Heated Hotline, Joe.
Hotline.
Hello, guys. This is Brad calling in from Hopkinton, Rhode Island. I got to tell you, I am a big Celtics fan this year. I think that Drew Holiday is the best person that they've gotten to help the team along. I think that they're going to go the whole way. They're winners. Brown and White, they're all great players. We've got a great team with the Celtics. I hope you agree, and I hope you root with me for the rest of the season. Thanks for the show. I'm a big fan of yours, too. Bye.
Oh, thank you. I'll jump there. A little pause there, Joe. I think he's a little,
Gotta give us props, Gotta let him give us props. Gotta give it a minute.
Brad, thank you for the call. Mark, did he talk to you ahead of time? Did he talk to you before? For those of you who don't understand, Mark and I haven't heard that call. We don't hear the calls until you're hearing the calls, because we're like you, with the real deal. And then we comment. This is your point with Drew Holiday, isn't it, Mark?
It is. It absolutely is my point with Drew. Listen, if you let Holiday do what you brought him here to do, Chris, I talked about it last week, you're going to win. Let him distribute the ball. Let him move the ball. Let him do what he does, and you'll win. Lo and behold, this goes to your point too, Chris. They beat the Knicks down the stretch. Tatum took over. Fine. But against Philly, no Jaylen Brown, he's out. No Porzingis, he's out. Holiday, White, Tatum dominate. They beat Philly. And to your point, Chris, do you really need Jaylen Brown on this roster? That you've been saying that and saying it. Right?
Look, Mark, look, like I said, I mean, I saw a thing today.
Holiday is what you call, Chris, the straw that stirs the drink.
Absolutely.
That's what he's gonna be on this team. And
you know what? It's funny because you talk about Porzingis was out, Brown was out against Philly when they went over there. Okay. I saw something earlier in the week that said, how do you rank the important players of the Celtics? And how do they rank? And it was Tatum, Brown. Somebody had White on there as 2. Look, I put Brown 5th out of the starting 5.
Okay.
Guy. No, I'm sorry. I'm not kidding. 5th most important guy. And I think Holiday or Porzingis is 2A. And then I'll put Derek White. Then I'll put Brown. Listen, I told you before, I want Brown coming off the bench. I want him as the 6th man. That's what I want. I want them to go find a forward, a power guy, like a Morrison was, like, a Crowder, like a guy that can play power forward, okay, do dirty work down there. That's what I'm looking for. That can rim protect when Porzingis gets pulled up at the top of the key, right? Yeah. Don't give me Brown in the starting 5. I don't want to see it. No, it isn't about the starting 5, Mark. It's about I don't want Brown and Tatum on the court at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree, Chris. So listen, if you down the stretch, they've got a trade exemption. They still got some money. They're going to have to bring in that veteran. They still have a spot, Chris, to bring in a veteran. So like you said, a guy like a Morris or a Crowder, they're going to need that down the stretch to win a championship. That type of player, you won't win if you don't get that type of a player. I'll make the prediction now. It's November. It's before Thanksgiving. You will not win a championship if you don't get one of those players down the stretch. They will bring in one of those players, trust me. But to your point, Chris, ranking of the players, you're right. It's Tatum, it's Porzingis and Holiday, 2A and 2B, say both 2s. But I'm going to give Jaylen Brown his props. I'm going to say he's next and then White, right? But you're right, Chris. I don't think Jaylen Brown is in the top 3 of ranking pecking order on this team because I think this team works better when those first 3 guys are involved. Not so much Brown, because Brown, we talked about this all year last year, Chris. Brown doesn't complement Tatum. Porzingis and Drew Holiday those 3 guys can complement each other. And that's how you're going to win a championship, Chris. That's how you're going to win a championship.
Absolutely.
And yes, they absolutely should be the favorites in the East. If they get healthy, Chris, to the caller's point, to Brad's point, they should be the favorites in the East, and they should make it to the finals. You bring in the extra piece at the end, and hopefully it gets you over the hump and you beat whoever's representing the West. It looks early in the season like it's probably going to be Denver again. So
when Brown's on the court, there's a lot of standing around at the top of the key, period.
There is. You're right, Chris. There's
no movement. So,
You're
Brad,
right.
we love them too. Listen, don't get us wrong. We love the Celtics too. We
do.
Want to see them win. We know how to make them win. That's it. That's us. Just like you guys out there, we know how to make them win. So, Brad, thank you for the call. Heated Hotline was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, when we come back, we're going to bring in the nation. Pat's Nation is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. Okay, Mark, there was no game. There's no game coming up. There's a bye.
There's no game coming
tomorrow.
up.
So no game coming up. So let's give our State of the Patriots address, and let's discuss a few different positions. So let's welcome in Pat's Nation, Joe. So, Mark, I mean, we've been talking about this. You know, we went through last week's game, broke that down. We talked about the Belichick Kraft thing. We talked about that. So now looking at this team as to where they are now, what is it there? What's the deficiency? I mean, it's, there's some obvious things here. But I know offensively you want to talk about a couple of things, so go ahead.
Okay, let's start with wide receiver. Now,
you're going to start with quarterback. We'll start with wide receiver. Excellent.
Well, I'm not even listen because I think quarterback.
We all know we need a quarterback.
We all know we need a quarterback, so I'm not starting with quarterback.
Well, I mean, is Mac Jones done? Is he broken?
Mac Jones is broken, Chris. I think between what happened last year, I don't think you can come back with him. I think he's done. Yeah. He's not your quarterback moving forward. Whether or not they go with him against the Giants, I don't even think they'll do that. But he's done. So next year, Chris, we all agree you need a quarterback. Simple, plain and simple. Let's not get into a bunch of time with that. But wide receiver, Chris, I got to talk about wide receiver first, because wide receiver has been my pet peeve. That's been my pet peeve, Chris, for I don't know how many years now.
A lot of years.
After year, right? Ever since, even before Brady left, I said get him a couple of weapons as he's getting older, and he'll continue this run. But
you were pissed. You were pissed when they didn't draft Des Bryant.
That's how far back was that?
You were. Mark was so pissed off that night because we could have traded one spot up and got Des Bryant, and we didn't do. We took a lineman. Go ahead. I think it was Win. No, was it the Win? No, that would.
No. Des Bryant's way before that. But anyways, so I've been on wide receiver for quite a while now. Chris knows that. And in this past draft, I was screaming and yelling that we should have taken the kid from Ohio State who is playing with nothing in Seattle, but he's starting to flash a little bit now, even though the quarterback there stinks. And all the experts here were okay with not taking a wide receiver in the first 5 rounds. They thought our wide receiver room was okay, including the guy on the other side of the microphone over there. He was happy with the draft. He was happy with Christian Gonzalez in the first round. So I'm even going to throw Chris into that bracket.
You know what?
Now he's come around. See, now I'm getting excited, Chris. Now he's coming around to my thinking. The wide receiver room is no
Joe, you're going to have to lower the volume in a second,
Listen,
but go ahead.
Smith-Schuster stinks. Devontae Parker stinks. Neither one of those guys should be on this roster next year. Bourne, injured. If you can get him on a team-friendly deal because he's injured, I'd bring him back. The only wide receivers you got in that room, Demario Douglas, who, to Chris's credit, liked him in the draft and said, hey, Mark, I did, 5th round, I take this kid, 6th round, which they did. And I like Butte. I was the only one who mentioned Butte in the 5th or 6th round. I'd say take a flyer on this kid, which they did. They're not using him, but they should. You keep those 2 guys, Chris.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to draft. You're going to have to go into the free agency. You're going to have to get receivers and skilled players on this team because that's what this league is now about. So the wide receiver room, you got 2 guys worth keeping, and the rest of the room is going to be blown up, and you're going to have to start from scratch. And Belichick is not the guy to do that. I will repeat, Belichick and his draft team is not the group to do that. The offensive line, Chris, you're going to, okay, so you got to Wenu, who I think is serviceable. You got to try to re-sign him. Andrews, you got a center.
Yeah.
A couple of these rookies you got, Chris, that have been filling in, I think you can use for depth. I think you're stretching by starting them, but they'd be all right for depth. You need to go into free agency, Chris, and you're going to take the number 1 free agent tackle and spend money, Mr. Kraft. Spend money and take the first, maybe even the top 2 free agent tackles, not the draft, free agency. Because in the draft, you need to draft. Last year, we drafted defense.
Oh.
Hey, Chris liked it.
No. You know what?
Wait. Chris is a defensive guy.
I can't let him keep doing this.
Listen.
I can't stand by for this.
But in my view, again, it's got to be offense. So I don't know who you're going to bring in to do that. As we said, it doesn't. We're in the opinion they may end up keeping Bill, even though everyone thinks Bill's gone. And if you keep Bill's not drafting offense. He may take a tackle in the first round, but that's it. So, anyways.
Yeah. You know what? Stop talking for a minute, will you please?
So that's what I think.
You want to talk about a guy on the other side, with the wide receiver. You know what? You need somebody to get mad at. This is what it is. I'm the punching bag, everybody. This is the guy. Listen, all I said to you was Gonzalez is a steal at that pick at 17. That's it. I didn't, it was shortly after I said to you, you know what? You can't win a Super Bowl with a corner. You need talent at the wideout position. It's one of the most important positions. And I wanted Hyatt in the 2nd round. So you know what? Be quiet about telling me that I don't value the position. What is that?
This is from the guy who.
Oh, don't say
this is from the guy.
Don't say the name N'Keal Harry and link it with me. Don't do it.
All right, I won't say it, but you liked him that night.
Listen, you're right. you can't go you can't go tackle with the first pick. You can't do it. You're going to be picking in the top 3 probably. You can't do it. It's criminal. It's got to be Harrison or, to me, Caleb Williams, and then Harrison.
Chris, it's either Caleb Williams or maybe even the kid from North Carolina, May, the quarterbacks. But they're going to go 1-2. If you're sitting at 3, you got to take Harrison. You got to take Harrison.
We'll put it this way, Mr. Kraft. You need to put us in your draft room to begin with, because we can go back, and we have it on these shows, and we have our draft books. We'll go back years. And I'm not talking first round. I'm talking second, third, fourth round, Pro Bowlers across the board. You got to listen to us, man. The bottom line is, what would you rather do? Would you rather take a wide receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to be a changer, okay, a team changer, all right? You want to take that guy, and you don't have to pay him for 5 years, and just go pay a tackle. Yeah, tackles make a lot of money, but not like wideouts. Not like wideouts. So go.
Chris, what about the defensive side of the ball? What do you need over there?
Well, you know what? To me, it's, and I know we got to go. So to me, it's about the middle linebacker. I don't want to talk about the defensive front. Look, they got some talent on there. They looked okay this year. I like Keon White. I like Judon. I like some of the pieces they got there. Secondary wise, I'm Gonzalez is a great player. I like Jonathan Jones. I'm all right. I mean, they've been bad with the defensive backfield too, but nothing worse than the middle of the field. Nothing worse than off-ball linebacker. Okay, it's pissing me off. It's been for years. It's been bothering me. If you can't go get a guy like Greenlaw, like Warner, like guys that can go sideline to sideline, like we were saying it, fill, make guys right, be good in coverage, clog up the holes in the zone. You don't have it. Bentley doesn't provide it, neither does Tavai. That's it, period. And neither does Wilson. Nobody on your team provides that, period. End of story. And I think you get it in free agency, and I think you get it later in the draft. But the first 2 picks in this draft have got to be quarterback or wide out, and then wide out, and then wide out again. And then tight end. And it's something like that. That's how it has to go. Middle linebacker, Mark. Middle linebacker. The state of the defense right now is weak in the middle of the field. If you can get guys off the injury, if you can guys to get a better training staff. So
now you're preaching. Now you're preaching wide receiver. Oh my word! I can't.
You know what, Joe?
Now you're preaching wide receiver.
That's it. I quit the show.
Now he's preaching wide receiver. Okay.
I quit the show. Joe keeps telling me in the chat, stop yelling into the mic.
Okay.
Right?
Stop yelling into the mic. You can't quit. Jesus. Did you guys take your pills this week?
If there's not a pill on the planet this kid's going to take, when you start talking about wide receivers, it's going to calm him down. There's nothing. For you, those of you want to irritate Mark, send an email, corso.catone@gmail.com. Stop telling him he's wrong about wideouts.
But Chris, people actually thought our wide receiver room was okay. It wasn't bad, they said. It wasn't a need during the draft. What the heck were these people looking at and evaluating, Chris? These are supposed to be people who do this for a living. They're on the radio. They're on television for a living. You didn't realize that your wide receiver room was horrendous? Come on.
It's unconscionable. I don't understand. I don't understand it.
All they got to do is go back and listen to us, our shows on YouTube, on iHeartRadio. We preached wide receiver from February. The room stinks. We kept saying it leading up to the draft, and nobody listened to us. Nobody listened. Yep. Okay, fine.
So
we're gonna do.
That's to us the state of the Patriots. We'll be talking a lot more about that as the season unfolds and the offseason begins. So Pats Nation was presented by Corso and Catone, 12 to 1. Noon to 1 every Saturday. You can catch us all over the place. Hey, when we come back, step up to the sportsbook. We're going to make you some money in Sunday spread.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
That's it. What is wrong?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Field. All right, step up to the sports book. Here we go. We're going to give our locks. We were pretty good last week again, Mark.
We did very good.
I missed one.
We've been well. I missed one. I think I missed one. Well, I said Cincinnati. It depends on their injuries, this and that, but they did lose. So they, But I gave you a couple before that, and I gave you my college again. And again, I said if you want to start on Saturday, take USC plus the points. You would have covered again.
Yeah. So coming into this week, looking at this. Well, go ahead. What do you got this week?
All right. Well, listen. I'm going to once again say if you want to, I know it's Sunday spread, but if you want to start on Saturday, I got a good parlay for you. Take Georgia -10. They're going to destroy Tennessee. It's going to be a blowout. And I'm going to stick with the Pac-12, I guess it's called now. Take Washington -1 against Oregon State. Beautiful parlay to start Saturday, and it gets you going for Sunday. And on Sunday, Chris, I don't care about how high the lines are. I like 2 double-digit favorites. The joyride is over for Antonio Pierce with the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to get destroyed at Miami coming out of a bye. Miami might score 40 points against that team at home. Take Miami -13 and take Dallas -10.5.
These
take
point
them
spreads.
at Carolina. Carolina is absolutely horrible. The quarterback doesn't how he was drafted in the top 5. I don't know. I said it when he was drafted that kid was going to be a bust. But anyway, Dallas and what did I just say? Now I'm getting old, Chris. I can't even remember. Dallas, Miami. Dallas, Miami all day. Later double digits.
See, for me, I was going to go the other way. Because I think Pierce has got them playing. I think he's got them believing that they're better than they are, especially defensively. And it's just because of the line. I don't like 13 points. I mean, you give me in an NFL game, that's tough. Give me, games have started to be closer and closer these weeks, and less blowouts as the year passes, until you get to late in the year where teams just don't care anymore. But this Vegas team cares. I like Vegas getting the 13 points. Again, not the win. There's no money line happening here. But getting that 13 points, I will say, I look at the Chicago-Detroit game, and Detroit's at home, and the spread is 8. I'd like it if it was 7, but I think Detroit's going to just absolutely destroy Chicago. So I think that you could bury that team, bury Detroit. And the other thing, I've been liking them this year. You're talking about the Houston Texans. Now, this one I was a little about because they're giving up 5 at home against the Cardinals. I don't know what Kyler Murray's going to give you now with the Cardinals, if he's going to make that game closer, But I do like Houston in this game, Mark.
Chris,
Here's what I would do.
Wait a minute. Before you give us this last kernel, I'm going to give you one bit of advice. Please stay away from any game that Denver is playing because you're 0 for the season betting against Denver. You're 0 for the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was going to work on Denver a little bit, but now, and you can look at Cleveland too, by the way. Cleveland at home against Pittsburgh. I think Cleveland's turned the corner. And I think
quarterback, though. He's out. Season-ending surgery, just for Hopkins, they have now ruled him out for the season, I believe.
Talking about Watson?
Watson, he's out for the season, I think.
Okay, well, then forget that. All right, look, here's what I would do this week, okay? I would go with Mark, except I do a 3-team tease. Okay, I do a 3-team teaser, all right? I'd bring the points down in the Dallas game, okay, to 4. I'd bring the points down in the Miami game, whatever 13 -6 is. Okay. And I do it in the Chicago game, in the Detroit game. That's what I would do. I would do a teaser. So keep that in mind. And remember, bet because you want to, not because you need to. I mean, if you've got a problem, go get some help. You know what I'm saying? With this, with the gambling. But
that is
make sure and stick with us because we know what we're talking about. So Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, CorsoLawGroup.com. Hey, get on, watch, listen to all our shows. They're up for you on YouTube, iHeartRadio, 790 The Score. And make sure when you go on there, you subscribe. Give us that thumbs up and get all our notifications. And come back next week, noon to 1 Eastern Saturdays. Going to talk Patriots draft a little bit. Celtics welcoming the Pats Nation for their trip to New York to take on the Giants. Catone's comment, Sunday spread, anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Find Corso and Catone on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever you podcast. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Corso and Catone, and catch the chaos at 7 p.m. on Saturday.